Hello, welcome to Shapeships. Today we're looking at the Xenite species. This game has 4 different species. So far we've looked at the humans and seen some human games. And today I'll just give a quick overview of the Xenite ships, and we'll play a game. The Xenites kind of came about as I designed the humans with their geometric shaped ships. I thought letters would be a cool basis for a species. As you can see here, our different letters cost a different amount of lines. They also, align with the names of each ship. So Xenite, here's our 2-cost X. This name came from this old game that I used to play as a kid, Xenon 2. So the Xenites are from Xenon. And yeah, like humans, it will take a few games to understand how the ships function together, the different strategies and responses available when you're playing a game. So let's have a look. We'll look through the basic ships and the upgraded ships, starting with the Xenite. 2-cost, no power. It is part of a lot of upgraded ships. It also empowers your other ships. So no power of its own, but most Xenite strategies will use Xenites in some capacity, and you'll build up quite a lot of these over the course of the game. 3-cost ship, the Antlion, has 1 charge. It can either deal 3 damage or heal 4, and you mark it when it's used. So very similar to an interceptor, a weaker interceptor. The important distinction is that it is a part of upgraded ships like the Queen and the Hive. So it plays quite a different role to the interceptor from humans. It's a bit of burst damage or heal, but it's also an important part of some of those upgraded ships. 4-cost ship, the Mantis. This is the basic source of healing. Heal 1 for every 2 Xenites. So pretty weak when it first comes down because you probably won't have many of these, but it does scale quite well. In any game, you may get up to 20 Xenites, and then for 4 lines, you can heal 10. Now, it does have a cap, and that's really for the ultra late game. Like if you've got more than 20 Xenites, there's probably a lot of other things going on too. You can still drop down Mantises and they heal for 10. Our Evolver is another 4-cost ship. Upon completion, so when you first draw it, if there's a Xenite available, which there usually is, it can turn those Xenites into an Oxite or an Asterite, which are these 2 ships here. So you've got your Xenite X ship, you can draw a circle around it, or you can turn it into an asterisk with this symbol. So it does that when you first draw the Evolver, and then in each build phase, it continues to make them. So these 2 ships here still count as Xenites for all other ship powers, so they still power the Mantis and the Hell Hornet, and for any other ships that interact with them, they are considered Xenites. They're also part of some of the more powerful upgraded ships. Our Hell Hornet here, 2 H's for 6 lines. A counterpart to the Mantis, it deals 1 damage for every 2 of your Xenites. So again, it's a little bit more expensive than the Mantis. Damage is usually slightly more expensive in this game. And it also scales quite well. Um, with these Xenites, it doesn't have the cap of 10 because we do want games to eventually end. So it can be used in an aggro strategy. It can be dropped down at any stage in the game, really, to boost your damage. And of course, you can have multiple of all of these ships to scale things. Our 6 cost BB bug breeder is this one, and has 4 charges. The 4 holes in the bees. In the next build phase may make a Xenite, and you mark it as you make them. So over 4 turns, 5 turns, because it doesn't build the turn you make it. It can make 4 Xenites, so that's 8 lines of value for 6 lines. It's obviously very similar to the human carrier, but it only makes one type of ship. But that ship is more flexible and can power healing, damage, and the bug breeder itself also is used in the Queen, the Hive, and some of those other upgraded ships. So yeah, a little bit of value there, and every bit of value you can get is good in this game. 9 lines here with our 3 Zs is the biggest basic ship in the game at 9 cost, the Zenith. Upon completion, heals you 6, so just once, a once-off heal. And then in the subsequent build phases, depending on the dice roll, it makes Xenites, Antlines, and so on a dice roll of 2, it makes 1 Xenite. On a dice roll of 3, it makes an Antlion, this guy. And on a dice roll of 4, it makes 2 Xenites. So the longer this is on the board, the more value you get from it. It's somewhat susceptible to the human guardians, which can destroy the Zeniths. But Centaur and Xenite have no real way to deal with them. So yeah, you can get a lot of value from the Zenith. The Xenites have no, in their basic ships, no direct source of bonus lines. The Bug Breeder and the Zenith make more ships for you. So that's our basic ships. A lot to take in, I know. Bear with me, because now we will look at the upgraded ships. So a couple of notes on Xenite upgraded ships. They're quite cheap comparatively to humans. Most of them are 3 or 4, and we just enclose the letters, with a square or a triangle. The Queen is the most expensive with 6 joining lines. They're kind of, we call them joining lines in humans. In Xenite, they're kind of more enclosing lines. Okay, the Xenites that are in these ships, they are now part of that ship, and they don't count for your Mantis and Hell Hornet healing and damage. They are now part of this ship. So same as humans, once your fighter is part of a battle cruiser, it's no longer a fighter. They can't be evolved either. So okay, there's kind of a couple of pairs of ships here, really. The Defense Swarm and the Antline Array. Both of these ships care about players' health. So if your health is lower than your opponent's health, the Defense Swarm heals 7, the Antline Array deals 7 damage. If your health is the same or higher, the Defense Swarm heals 3, the Antline Array deals 3 damage. So, fairly weak for their cost, when you're healthy. Um, but if you are lower than your opponent in health, the 7 healing or 7 damage is quite a lot. Um, of course, the antline array, as you're making it, these antlines are doing damage or healing. And then for 3 lines, it can sometimes be doing 7 damage. The defense swarm is really quite a strong anti-aggro ship, but it does consume some Xenites. So these Xenites don't count for your Mantis and Hell Hornet. But yeah, both situationally useful. Our next couple of ships here, the Oxite face and the Asterite face. So they are the Xenite's only source of bonus lines. You may draw an additional line each build phase. Both of these ships do that. And they have, a unique power here. The Oxite face heals you 1 for each type of ship your opponent has. The Asterite face deals 1 damage for each type of ship your opponent has. So that is a little bit out of your control. It can be countered somewhat, but most builds are going to have 3, 4 plus types of ship. So the value here is decent. Getting an additional line is very strong on Xenite, and yeah, decent amount of healing. It's sort of like an anti-tactical cruiser from humans, the Oxite face. And the Asterite face can be a surprisingly strong aggro ship because it boosts your economy and it's doing damage based on how many ships your opponent has. Usually, 4 or 5 damage for this ship. They contain an evolver and either oxites or asterites. So you can't exactly build it just if you have 12 lines. You need a couple of turns for the evolver to make the oxites or the asterites and then enclose it in your 4 enclosing lines. But kind of generally useful in most builds, I would say. In free-for-all and team games, it's a bit more complicated, but I won't go into the detail there. Sacrificial Pool is our next one. So it's got 2 Xenites and a depleted Bug Breeder with the 4 joining lines. Each build phase may destroy 1 Bug Breeder of yours and make 2 Xenites. So that half of the power, it can help accelerate your Xenite count when you've got some depleted Bug Breeders. Obviously, it uses a Bug Breeder and some Xenites, but it can be a way to supercharge your Xenite count in the kind of mid-late game. It's a pretty niche ship, I would say, and the second part of its power is if an opponent uses a destroy power against you, like a Guardian or a Ship of Equality or Black Hole, you can instead destroy 2 Xenites. So say a Guardian targets your Hell Hornet to try and reduce your damage. You can instead destroy 2 of your Xenites, which hopefully you would have a lot of by that stage in the game. It's kind of a mid-game counter to some of those destruction builds that can really punish Xenite, because Xenite relies on their basic ships a bit more than the other species, I would say. So kind of a niche ship. The Queen here, 20 lines, has a Bug Breeder, those ant lines that we talked about before, and a Xenite, plus 6 joining lines. Probably my favourite ship in the game. We'll see. Each build phase, it makes a Xenite, so that's the equivalent of a battle cruiser, generating 2 lines of value, and deal 3 damage for each ship you made this turn. So that at the moment includes ships that are made from other bug breeders. It includes the ship that the Queen makes herself. It includes ships made from a Zenith as well. So, depending on the dice, you might some turns be making 6+ ships, 10+ ships in the late game. So the Queen can do a lot of damage. 10. If you make 10 ships, that's 30 damage that turn. But it does fluctuate. It depending on the dice. You might only make 2 ships, and then she only does 6 damage that turn. Obviously, having multiple queens is really strong because they all make a Xenite and all do damage based on those Xenites plus other ships. It's kind of the late game way to do damage as Xenite. Yeah, super fun ship. The Chrono Swarm is another really fun ship. It's got 6 Xenites and a Zenith in it with the 4 joining lines, so quite difficult to build. So the Chrono Swarm, each turn before the battle phase, you take another build phase. So you roll dice just for you, draw more lines, and trigger any build phase powers again, like Bug Breeders, Queen, Evolver, Zenith, if you somehow have another Zenith, which you can. So yeah, just you get another build phase, and you can only have one Chrono Swarm, because that would be insane if you had more than one. And yeah, it's a really strong ship if you can get it, to really power up your game as a Xenite. Having that second build phase, yeah, with the queens because they make another ship, etc. Yeah, very, very strong. Our big ship here, our mothership, is of course the Hive. It has a lot of ships in it and plus 4 joining lines. In most games, you'll have probably some of these ships, if not all of them. It deals 1 damage for each of your ships, and it heals 1 for each of your ships. It also protects against destruction, your ships being taken, and your ships being copied. So Ancient can copy your ships, Centaur can take your basic ships, and obviously there's a few destruction powers in the game too. So this is kind of the late game counter to some of those things. When you first make it, it obviously consumes quite a few ships, so your ship count will go down, but you'll still probably have, at least 12, 15, 20 ships. So it might do, 15 damage and 15 healing, which is pretty strong. Might need a nerf. Seems fine at the moment. So yeah, that's our big ship for the Xenites. And yeah, they actually, quite fun and different to humans. There's a lot of different strategies and timings, with the Xenites. And yeah, we will play a game, in the next video. So I'll see you there. Cheers.